everyone, and welcome to the Sania Farooqui Show. Today we have somebody joining us from Germany, Seyran Ates. She's born in 1963 in Istanbul and has been living in Germany since 1969. She's both a lawyer specialized in family law and an author. As a women's rights activist and human rights activist and a Muslim woman, she's one of the most important voices in the fight against religious and tradition-related violence. In 2017, Seyran opened the Ibn Rushd Getty Mosque in Berlin, the first liberal mosque in Germany where men and women pray together and women can take the role of Imam leading a prayer. In 2005, Seyran was nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize as part of the Project 1000 Peace Women. Recently, Seyran has been featured in a documentary called Seyran Ates, Sex, Revolution and Islam. Thank you so much, Seyran. It is an absolute honor to have you on the Sania Farooqui Show today, and I'm really excited to speak to you.
Thank you for the invitation, Sania. It's a pleasure and it's an honor for me, and especially to have such audience with your show. This is great for the movie and for the mission what we have. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much. No, and I look forward to our conversation. I'm going to start by asking a little about your childhood. You know, your family immigrated from Turkey to Germany. How was it growing up in a new country? You even ran away from your house at the age of 17. So what made you do that, and how did that change your life? Tell us briefly about your journey from that time onwards.
Well, Sania, you already pointed out the very important points in my life, why I am who I am and how I am, as it is with all humans all over the world. Our childhood and our parents, our families are influencing us and our careers, our beliefs, everything for what we stand up or not. So the influence in my family was in my very poor Turkish Kurdish family coming from Turkey to Germany was just that my parents go to work. They were not academicians. They were just unskilled factory workers, and my mom couldn't read and write. So when she came to Germany in the age of 30. So I saw around me women inside the marriage very unhappy. I saw women not educated, no graduated from any university. And me, myself, I I felt in love with school. This was the place where I find freedom, in opposite to my family, where I was just a girl. And girls don't need to read and write. This was the sentence of my grandfather to my mom. So she had no chance for that. And what I want to say is I grew up without gender equality. I grew up in a patriarchal system where I realized very early that men and women are not treated the same in our culture, religion, but not only in our group as guest workers. It was not better in the outside, in a German majority, but there were many points in the German society which were better than in our life. So I had always, every day, I had two faces. I had my face at home as a Turkish Kurdish Muslim girl and daughter, and I had another very free, very accepted, and very happy face in school. And so in my little world as a child and teenager, the world was divided in freedom outside the house and somehow a jail at home because I was a girl. And this brought me to the point to say, I never ever will accept this kind of life. What many of my cousins had, they were forced marriage. I never ever want a life like my mom, who were not allowed to go to school. So I start fighting for education, and I leave my parents and my family in the age of 17 because I've realized that I cannot be free and self-determinated in this family. also in this jail of control, of the social control of the family, of the anti-family, and they are influenced by our neighbors, my relatives, much more than I want to be. And this is the point that is very important, briefly of my childhood and my family. And the good news are that my mom and my father become my biggest and greatest fan after I could prove that my wish and my vision is just to live free and do a career as a lawyer. Yeah. And I could prove that. And after a while, it takes something like 10 years. My parents were so proud of me that my father, he died unfortunately in 2014, so he couldn't see the mosque. But my father and my mom, they excused many times. They said, so forgive us what we have done. It was not coming from our inner, it was because the surrounding was like that. We are dependent on our social surrounding. They excused me, and I asked them to forgive me, to judge them, because they did what everybody did in their surrounding, in the family. So this is the happy end with my parents, the same happy end with my with my very close relatives. And so maybe this can give hope to other girls and women. If you stand up, it's not for guarantee that you will lose everybody of your family.
You've been very passionate about law, human rights, gender rights, and inclusivity of LGBTQI in Islam. How did you realize that this would be your calling, both professionally and personally?
I realized that when I was 15. I was the leader of the students' parliament in our school when I was 15 to 17 for 2 years, and I realized it's good to know what are your rights as a student in the school. So the same, you can say the same for women's rights and human rights. And in this time, I read a lot about women's rights and human rights, and realized, this is what I want to do. I want to stand up for the people who don't have their own voice, like me. So I fight for my own rights. At the same time, I realized, there are so many other people in the same situation. So why I don't become a lawyer for those people and defend the victims? So I start to be a defender of people who cannot defend themselves, very young. And so I had this wish and vision about my career, and I followed this red line then after I was 15. And I could make it, and I'm thankful that I could make it.
Yeah, and it's fantastic and inspirational. So I recently interviewed Nafise Oscar Lorenzen. She's a filmmaker, and watched her documentary film on you called Seyran Ates, Sex Revolution in Islam. Before I continue my question, I want to show our viewers a quick look at the trailer, and we'll get back to it.
You have a fatwa against you.
I have police protection since 2006. There are a lot of people who are willing to kill me. Ich wurde von mindestens 2 Kugeln getroffen. Hier, hier und hier.
Onu hiç hatırlamak istemiyor.
Tamam üzmek istemedim anne seni. Tamam. Özür dilerim. Tamam. How we can help our kids? They are suffering with our religion.
I would have done something. I know it for a fact.
Do you want to go all the way?
Yeah. I'm looking for the magic in my religion. We need reformation in Islam, but we cannot wait 500 years to do the steps. Freedom! It's time to change.
It's a very fantastic film, very powerful film. What made you agree with Nafise when she told you she wanted to make it? And what do you think about it? It's a very personal lens into your life. How easy or difficult was it for you to give Nafise that access? And I know Nafise is told that, your mother loved it. So, and like you said, you have very supportive family, your parents opened up to you, and obviously that has been a strong backbone support system for you over the years. But to allow a filmmaker into your personal space, share a little about that experience as well. And what do you think about the film?
I love this film. What you have to know, and the audience, in the time when Nefise came to me or wrote me this email and to ask if she can make a documentary about the mosque and about me, or the first idea was to add me and my work in a film where she was doing a documentary about female imams in general. So this was the first step. And in this time, this is what I want to underline, I think something like more than 40 production companies asked us for a documentary, because open such a mosque was really very special. I knew that. I worked 8 years on this idea, so I knew this will really kind of revolution. It's exploding, it's a big step for sexual revolution and for reformation in Islam, to open such a place where people can come. It's not like be liberal and private at home. So we have that practicing everywhere in the world. And when Nefise wrote me this email, I understood that she understood me. So it was not just doing a documentary about this great highlight in the year, So she wrote me the email like that. I could understand she's into it, not just because she's coming from Turkey, she's living in Norway. So it's because she understood the spirituality, what we are doing there. And this very important point, next point is, it's not a movie about me. We discussed this point very times. I told her, I'm tired. It's boring for me. So years and years to tell my story. It's not my story, please. So I'm not fishing for compliments. It's really, I love this congregation. It's really not my story just. And when I wrote my biography, I got a lot of letters from Turkish Muslim women who thanks for their biography. They said, Seyran, this is not just your biography. You wrote our story, and thank you that you are telling our stories. And I discussed this point very times with Nefise, if she can understand that it's not about me. And even when she's coming in my home and doing this very privacy, I wish she could show that I'm just one of millions of billions women in the same situation, and also boys and youngsters and men, and she could make it, and I'm happy for that. This is how I see this film. I don't see just me, just my story. I see especially the next generation, and I'm thankful for her that she really was one of the very few people who understand. When you come to our mosque and we have an appointment, this is one sentence from Nefise, and I love her for that. When you come to our mosque and I have an appointment with you, you will not meet me. You will meet very, very great and interesting people in the mosque. This is really what happened every Friday, as it was yesterday, for example. So I'm happy for every Friday, every week, and very thankful that people come to say, oh my God, this is really a place what I was looking for years, and now I find my home. So spirituality, home.
Wonderful.
And this is an award. This is the best award that you can get.
Yeah.
So my dream is to go more and more in the back and show all the young people in the front and all the stories in the front. Storytelling is my job, and defending people as a lawyer.
Yeah. But you are also one of the most protected civilian women in
Yeah.
Europe. You are also a female imam. How did that happen? You've often spoken very openly and critically towards a lot of the Islamic religious practices. So, what inspired you to become an imam? How easy or difficult is it for women to pursue this? As well as opening the first liberal mosque in Germany, did you face opposition? Tell us a little about that as well.
Well, the police protection for me started in 2003. This is very important. Maybe, Sania, you don't know that, or maybe you have, in the film, I mentioned that in the film.
Yeah.
It's not just after I opened the mosque.
Yeah.
I have police protection. I got it in 2006. After 3 years, from 2003 till 2006, fighting for an own paragraph in German criminal law against forced marriage. 3 years I worked really hard and fight really hard for this topics and issue, and I speak out a lot of things because of my experiences, my clients. You know, I as a lawyer, I had a lot of clients who were forced marriage, and I had a lot of cases of young women who should be forced to marry, and I helped them to become free. So I got this police protection because I had to close my office. The danger was so high in 2006 that I had to close my office, and I couldn't have an open office anymore as a lawyer. And but Germany, or the government here in Berlin, said we cannot accept that in our city a female lawyer cannot do her job. I just did my job, you know, as a lawyer. So they offer me. I didn't ask myself. They offer me, and I talk so much about this situation because, and there's many sentences, because please understand that this is the reality in real democracy. That the government, the police major is coming to you and ask you, can I give you police protection that you can do your work as a human rights activist, as a human rights defender, and as a lawyer, doing a lot of good job for our society. And till this
That's rare.
point, this is really important, and I hope people understand that this is the most important point when we talk about my police protection, and that I don't not live really free. I cannot just take my jacket and my bag and go out of the house whenever I want.
Till today.
This is my life still. Yes, I cannot just do that. I have right now my own bodyguard team. This is very single. Nobody else has is protected like that here. As you mentioned, also in Berlin, I have a own team like other politicians here in the city. So why we need, or people like me need, police protection, and why I need such a high police protection is very simple and very profound. I'm fighting for women's rights. You know, there are people, they just want to kill me because men and women are praying in our mosque together. And because I shout out and I tell the public what's going on in patriarchal and archaic traditional families. We are not talking about every Muslim family. I'm not talking about every Turkish, Kurdish, Arab family. No, never, ever. We are talking about just a group of people in a parallel society where they don't accept democracy, gender equality. There's a lot of homophobia going on, anti-Semitism, and all these topics has to be discussed and debated, and we have to fight against that. And so I'm thankful for my angels that they are around me. They are great people. I really suffered, and I was not very happy the first time when I got the police protection. Believe me, it was not easy, but psychological, it turned around after a while that I saw the positive things more. And I worked 8 years on the idea to open this mosque. 8 years. I knew that it will not be very easy. Not everybody will say, oh, great, you opened a liberal mosque, we love you, and give you another award, whatever. Not everybody would love that. And in this 8 years, when I worked very hard on to organize that, I spoke to a lot of people. A lot of people joined to the idea and quit then after a while because of anxiousness, because they were frightened, because of they were afraid because of their families or their own life. And so I realized it is really, really dangerous what we are doing. It's really dangerous because we are fighting against political Islam. We are fighting against somehow a similar organization like mafia. You know, they are killing people just for very simple human rights and human rights. And what I also realized, I learned a lot about my religion myself in these 8 years.
Yeah.
And my first idea was, as a lawyer, I will find a female or male imam, and I will be the lawyer in the backyard and organize and do every formal things what we need, because this is what I can do. This is my main profession, and as an author, I can write the texts. But after a while, I realized, what does it mean to be an imam, a female imam? I realized there's not any kind of rule of being an imam. It's not a profession like a pope. It's not regulated like a rabbin, the Jewish people. So it's very, very different. Our religion is an individual religion, and it's absolutely basic democratic. It's very, very easy organized. Everybody has his own connection with your heart and God. So there are no rules, no regulations for being an imam. And so after I read and I practice a lot in my religion, I said, okay, why I'm not myself an imam in the function of the leader of a mosque? So I got this idea and said, I'm one of the female imams and male imams in our mosque. And the difficulties to become those imam, a liberal imam, was there's really not enough, there are not really enough studies or scholars or literature about that. You have to search yourself. And what we are now doing is we have to create a new kind of educational institute, or we have to create and write all the texts ourselves, or bring together everything what is written and what is practiced all over the world. So this is the challenge what we are doing now.
You've often been attacked for taking a stand against Islamic extremism, for rights of LGBTQ in Islam, gender rights, for a more progressive and inclusive Islam as a religion. You've also said that Islam needs a sexual revolution. Do you think it's possible? Are you seeing changes within the Muslim community? And what is progressive liberal Islam, and why are people in 2021 still against it?
So to stand up for LGBTIQ rights and for gender rights was anyway the first idea why I had the idea to open a liberal mosque, because of my own story and because I myself, as a women's rights activist, as female and as a bisexual woman, I said, okay, why I cannot live openly with everything what I am? You know, why I have to be ashamed about who I am? And why I was treated like that, because I'm a woman in a mosque, for example. I never ever felt so badly discriminated like I felt in mosques as a woman, because people told me when I go in a mosque, so in further times in Istanbul, for example, in Sultan Ahmet, and I have seen a button in the mosque with a woman and crossed that she's not allowed to go in the front of the mosque, so we're to the masjid to pray there, because this is just allowed for the men. And when men and women were very aggressively covering your shoulder or giving you a headscarf and take care that no tent is seen. So I felt really, really discriminated and very bad in the situation. And I was dreaming of a place, a mosque, where we don't have all these discriminations for women and for the LGBT community. I had and have a lot of friends from the LGBT community who are deeply believers, very peaceful, very spiritual believers and Muslims. And they're praying 5 times a day, they're fasting, they went to Mecca for pilgrim, and they do all the good things what you should do as a Muslim. But in mosques, they are not accepted as Muslims. They are called perverse, they are called sick, they have seen any kind of violence and discrimination. So this is very important that we stand up, because not only Western people, not only people in Europe or somewhere can be LGBT. It's very everywhere in the world. This is a part of human being. This is what we need. And why I talk about Islam and sexual revolution is I wrote a book about this issue, the topics, Islam needs a sexual revolution. I believe that it's still going on. What does sexual revolution mean? It's a political system, or it's an idea of how we live together. And when we talk about sexual revolution, so we should remind and not forget that 1968 and the sexual revolution in Western countries started because people said, we want to be free in our sexuality. And people start fighting against the church, against religious leaders who wants to tell the people how they practice their sexuality. So what did the 68 movement, what did the students movement in the 68s? They fight against canes, they fight against authorities and religious leaders who wants to control all the details in your life. Yeah. And they said, stop. Nobody has the right, no religious institution has the right to come into my bedroom.
Yeah.
So and women have the same right to change their partners if they want. And they decide whom they want to marry, and they have the same right not to marry. Yeah. So these are the issues when we talk about sexual revolution, and also much more open civil society, a critical society. We are talking about the open mind society when we talk about sexual revolution. And the question, if Islam has any chance to have it, or is there any little seed somewhere? I say there's more than a little seed in all over the world, also in the Islamic countries. I can prove that sexual revolution is going on since 20 years, more than 20 years anyway, because young people are looking and searching for their ways behind the carpet, behind the doors. But they are already living free and self-determinated and decide and do great careers. We have great young people and a fantastic generation in the Islamic world waiting just for freedom, waiting just for the right to shout out or just practice and be seen. Yeah, they are covered. This is maybe the good picture to say. Women are covered, and also the young men are covered with parts or other things. They don't have the right to show their real face and their real lifestyle. It's not a copy of Western style. This is what we have to say.
What is your mission moving forward? What do you hope to achieve through your work?
The mission is having more liberal mosques like our mosque, hopefully in every capital in Europe, and show that there is a kind of, not a kind, there's European Islam like we have in Algerian, Tunisian, Saudi Arabian, whatever Islam. And I hope to achieve is that the conservative people and traditional people believe that we are not fighting against Islam, we are fighting against patriarchy, and they will one day accept a debate between the conservative ones and the liberal ones. Because, please, this is really, really important to understand. When we say we are practicing a liberal Islam, we never ever have the right, or we say this is the true what we are doing. Maybe we are absolutely wrong. Maybe we will be confronted one day with God, and He will tell us, you know what, you did everything wrong. So this is what I believe. We are just trying to be peaceful and give hands to everybody else and try to live in peace with everybody. And this is what I really, really would love to achieve, that that we really come together as Muslims and accept each other in tolerance. And for those ideas or this reason, I hope we can open an educational institute, what I anyway started and run and finished. And I'm working on the idea of a university for universal scholars. That means bring together all the people, plurality, under a roof, and debate, start, discuss and debate. To speak is better than violence. Make love, not war.
Make love, not war. I've read that book. On that note, thank you so much, Seyran. It was wonderful speaking to you, an absolute honor. And I wish you all the very best of luck for all this amazing work that you are doing and that you want to do in the future. And I hope that we will get to meet someday, somewhere. And thank you again for coming on the Sania Farooqui Show today.
Thank you, Sania, for your interest and for this opportunity.
Thank you. And for those of you who've tuned in, thank you so much for watching. I hope that you will subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Spotify. And do subscribe to our newsletter to get all the updates on the Sania Farooqui Show. I'm going to be seeing you again next week.